Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and since Wuthering Waves is coming out tomorrow, I decided to check out what Braxophone has to say about the game in advance. It comes out tomorrow. I'm really freaking excited for this game, and I want to see what's going on. So we're going to check it out. You guys know the deal. Link below, video. Hit it up. Let's get started.
Click the link to pre-register for Wuthering Waves down below.
I think I've already done that.
When the first man stepped foot on the moon, it was a great feat for mankind.
Oh,
Leaving
actually got the footage.
first ever footprint of a human being on some random space rock other than the Earth is just one of many pieces of history we'll have to look back on for as
I know he always does these really grandiose intros that are way beyond the scope of what he does. But goddamn if this style isn't actually resonating with me, because I like space, and I'm already excited enough that I'm conflating the two emotions right now. It's working.
long as we exist.
Excited
this
for
is
the
not
game?
to be confused
Loving
with your
space.
digital footprint, which you'll want to erase immediately after you see Yinland for the first time. At this point, you
I'm just assuming that she's a good reason why the first banner is going to fail utterly. Because they've seen the second one.
may be praying to a god you don't believe in that she's free to play. And if
Nope.
so, I'll let you live in blissful
Nope.
ignorance. But on the topic of free to
Granted,
play,
there's some other nice
everyone's
ones.
wondering about if Wuthering Waves is going to be a free-to-play friendly game on release. Gacha games have a
I mean, I know this is called or how free to play Wuthering Waves is and all that, but I can't wail on this game. I've already done that on 2 other Gacha games. There's no way I can do it. So I'm really hoping the answer is yes. I'm really fearing the answer is it's a Gacha game.
horrific history of power creeping every single patch and making
Yeah.
the main character in free-to-play cast useless towards the latter half of the game. Well,
Although, having said what everything I just said and he just said, there's a good chance that considering this is a much more skill-based game and the opening character you get, Rover, is supposed to be really good at countering, which is a main mechanic here. Maybe it's more, do you just want a different playstyle, as opposed to, do you need this character to progress? And the answer is always yes.
I'm here to deliver a child, and that child's name is good news. In the
Ooh,
sea
fan?
of gacha games that all have
Brave Souls? Oh, Punishing Grey Raven. Yeah, because Kuro made Punishing Grey Raven right before this. Blue Archive was... Honestly, I got bored really fast. Haven't heard of that one. Haven't heard of a lot of these. Hatsune Miku? Of course there's a
specific
game like that.
stat-based mechanics that require you to grind every single day, Wuthering Waves brings something brand
saw
new to the
third down there.
table. The actual skill expression.
Yep.
In Wuthering Waves, you have parries, perfect dodges, and quick-time events that make the game feel more like a AAA combat experience.
Wait, QuickTime events? Am I just out of touch thinking QuickTime events are something that was kind of a relic of 2000s, early 2010s, where everything was a QuickTime event? I'm looking at you, the Order 1894 or 1893, whatever the hell your name is, where your entire final fight was a 10-minute QuickTime event that you had to get perfectly, but also was so incredibly boring that you just wanted to look at the scenery, but you couldn't because when you looked at the scenery, you got distracted by how boring it was. You're like, why am I doing this? And you realized you shouldn't have done any of the game because it was a giant pile of shit. And they put these in this game. I'm hopefully wrong about that. I would like to be wrong about that.
Than what you're probably used to with gacha games.
Maybe it's
but
only
with
CBT
that
too.
said, it's still a gacha game.
Yeah.
There are still different characters, daily quests and rewards, stamina limits, gearing, and gameplay elements to think about.
Although I did hear the stamina limit is a limit, where the easy rewards are stamina limit, but there's a lot of things you could do to grind and actually improve your character. It's just really goddamn slow, but that's still faster than really goddamn open your wallet. It's a small difference, but an important one.
So first off, I want to talk about the characters. So that way you can get an idea of
Ooh.
who's going to be smashed by a giant
Will they
monkey.
change by
when you
season?
get started with Wuthering Waves, you get to choose between the classic isekai protagonist or the best-looking female main character design in gacha history.
I would disagree, if only because I am holding a massive candle for Kiana from Honkai Impact 3rd. She's just awesome. So I'm a little biased.
Your free-to-play roster will consist of real protagonist, fake protagonist, Pokemon trainer, skill issue, midriff, and Discord mod. Sanhua is in
Because he's wearing a fedora. Oddly enough, in my house, there are a couple of fedoras. They all belong to my wife. Because she's the one who likes wearing fedoras. And I find this absolutely adorable. Especially since my wife's general expression is, if I stare at you, will you finally die already? Yeah, it's adorable.
insane, is what I would say if I could see. Unfortunately, I have to play this game with my monitors off, so that way I can make the game more challenging. She's from the 7-day starting login event, and
I'm assuming he's making a joke there, but I'm kind of wondering, is he just really good at these kind of games? I mean, for me, it's going to be hard, but I'm the kind of idiot who can find Genshin Impact difficult. Granted, a lot of that's because I can't roll artifacts that actually do anything I want to save my life. So all my characters, no matter how much work I put into them or how much I invest, money or time, they suck. This game might actually be easier for me because it only relies on skill. And by easier, I mean I'll realize I suck because of my own ability as opposed to my own luck, which is horrible.
She's probably the 3rd or 4th best damage dealer in the game.
Oh, seriously?
Coming out in 2nd place for highest 4-star damage, and Yinlin for the highest damage to my mental health.
Wait, what did that say? Please help me. I can't stop thinking about her. She's the only thing on my mind, and I have slept since I found out about her. Every time I try to eat breakfast in the morning, I drop my spoon in a bowl of uneaten cereal because I have visions of Yinlin, and I have a bright future where she arises my physically and abuses me. That's a B instead of an R. Abuses me physically and emotionally. Yeah, Wuthering Waves. They know that they are going to get the Overwatch treatment. Okay, normally prior to the last couple of years, that would have meant, oh yeah, they know exactly what's going to happen. I should probably clarify. I mean that instead of they're going to be screwed over by an idiot in charge. Fuck you, Bobby Kotick. Yeah. I have way more faith in most Gacha game companies than I do in Overwatch, so I don't think they'll have that nearly as bad. I hate everything I just said. Listen, pretend I didn't say it. It's just less depressing that way.
Health. Rover is a solid damage dealer and unironically a good character, unlike 99% of Gacha game MCs. They have a heal and S4, if you know what that means. The best way to describe Yang Yang is a...
I have no idea what he actually means. He has a what and what?
MCs. They have a heal and S4, if you know what that means.
Wait, how many? I'm assuming S4 is the constellation equivalent. So he has 6 total, and he has a heal with his 4th copy, and since he's the one you get from the game itself, you're guaranteed to get it. So after causing resonance liberation, those are words that should mean something. It continuously restores the health of all characters in the team. So not just the active character, all the side characters as well. With the amount of health restored per second equivalent to 20% of its own attack for 5 seconds. How exactly does that work out? Is that... this might also be the CBT or the beta, so it could easily change as well. I do like healing the entire team, though. A lot of healers are like, it's only the one on field. So you have to switch out the weak character who's about to die and risk getting deaded. Not just dead, deaded. It's even worse than regular dead. Because you know you were walking into an advance and you still did it.
Or, if you know what that means. The best way to describe Yang Yang is AoE grouping and faster ultimates for your team.
Oh.
And the second best way to describe...
So she's basically Kazuha. Nice.
Her is girl that is incredibly fast for wearing a pencil skirt. Midriff is the epitome of American spirit. She has a...
Oh, she actually has firearms. Well, I know what character I need to get then.
A gun. But not only that, she also has a gun. She'll make fights easier when you suck at close combat.
Wait. I need to see that again. How was she oh god, she's holding it at an angle. So is she going full fake American?
But not only that, she also has a gun.
She's actually doing the sideways shooting. Oh my god, they're going full meme on this one. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Also, she's literally red, white with a lot of blue. Yeah, the branding's in there. Please tell me she has an eagle motif just to make it even funnier.
She'll make fights easier when you suck at close combat. Not that that will save you since some of the bosses literally
Gunfu.
Discord mod may look cringe, but it's also cool if you can get past the fedora and if you're a Discord mod. And last...
I mean, I like fedoras, but only because I think they're funny. And admittedly, that's usually enough reason I do anything. I'm the guy who had a not trench coat in high school. Granted, my high school had an outdoor campus in the winter, and they like to have everyone go to gym, so you literally needed heavy coats, or you would find ice on your skin, and it's only funny until it actually happens. Yeah, in all honesty, it probably would have been something they could get sued over, but none of us thought of that. Probably should have. I'm pretty sure there was a few cases of frostbite. It was painful.
Lastly, you have Baiji, who covers healing for you with her White Lapras. Healing in this game is optional, since the only point of HP that matters is the one keeping you from beating God. Free-to-play cast is
Is there an ability where someone can just stop at 1 life as a last dash or last bit? Or Did he just get really goddamn... That is a lot of health. Get really goddamn lucky. I mean, technically in every game, 1 HP is the only one that matters. But if it's a skill-based game, I still need it because I lack skill.
God. Free-to-play cast is incredibly strong, but honestly, it doesn't even matter how much damage they do relative to each other, because the only game mode where DPS matters more than staying alive is the Tower of Adversity. This game mode usually has a bunch of enemies to defeat in a certain time period, and if you don't meet it, you lose. It's a lot.
So it's like Memory of Chaos from Genshin. Okay. And like Genshin, I will suck at this horribly. Glad to know that in advance.
Like the hologram boss fights, if you didn't die from breathing in the wrong direction. The hologram boss fights are incredibly fun and test your ability to improvise, adapt, and overcome against a sequence of boss attacks and mechanics that only increase in number as you go higher in level.
Oh, the mechanics actually get stronger as you progress.
The level 70 bosses.
Players have now beaten the highest level with solo characters as of making us, which would imply that they're very much skill-oriented more than just, here is big number, you need to be bigger than to survive. Which... admittedly, this actually seems really cool. It almost feels like they're not so much taking an aim at Genshin, with the obvious character models being a lot more interesting than MiHoYo is ever allowed to do due to censorship regulations in Hong Kong. So, yeah. But it seems like they're more taking aim at FromSoft with something that's more like a easily approachable, less grindy version of Dark Souls. Or the Dark Souls formula, or even Elden Ring. Because if it really is that much skill-based, that would be a thing. You know what? We'll find out if someone decides to do a one-character, rover-only, no leveling build. It would probably be really boring, but if someone could actually clear content like that, that would be one interesting challenge run, especially since you'd have to make sure never to use any of the buffs you get just from playing the game. But that wouldn't really choose just how much of the game is skill-based and how much of it is still the standard gacha leveling.
Since level 40 with a solo 4-star character. So that...
Wait, what did that say? Oh, with the solo 4-star? I love Danjin so much. She's amazing, I'm assuming. I love red hair, women. I love Danjin so much. She's amazing. Yeah. And yeah, red hair, women. Yeah, I can see that.
So that should give you an idea of how much skill plays into it. With the game being so based on your ability to parry, dodge, and pull off the right combo, it makes your actual character roster feel like it doesn't matter as much as how good you are at the game.
So it's style points more than anything else.
Or you just play Danjin, who seems to be massively overtuned. Don't tell the developers I said that, though.
They are definitely going to nerf her then.
Character that you get on a random 10 pull on the beginner banner being stronger than some of the 5 stars. Some people will argue that her HP cost is what makes playing her risky, and I would agree with that, if everything in the game didn't already one-shot you. Danjin is super strong.
Huh. So everything can one-shot you. That means risky plays like, it doesn't matter if I have any health because I'm going to do all the damage anyways, is perfectly valid because, and that's why he said the only one that mattered is the last one. Because if everything does so much damage that the last one is the only thing that actually counts, then you're more or less going to ignore all the tankiness because it doesn't matter. You just lose. Which is why it's a skill-based game or anything. Basically, everyone's playing this game on an agility build, huh? That's probably what's going to happen. They'll eventually change it out to have shielding become more prevalent, and then that'll become the easy mode. When I'll finally be able to start playing the game myself because I suck at reaction time. Although, granted, a lot of the reason I sucked at reaction time is because I was playing on a PS4 in Genshin, where you had to preempt exactly when things would happen by 5 seconds to play the game accurately, so maybe that had an effect on it.
So for free-to-play players, you not only have an insane free-to-play roster, but you also have other 4 stars in your corner that make it so you don't have to pull any 5 stars.
Also, I think I've heard recent rumors that there might be a 5-star selector, so neat. I have no idea if that's true or not, and I'm honestly assuming it isn't because that seems way powerful. Unless it's the equivalent of a 5-star selector for the ones you just get based off the beginning of the game and not anyone else that's ever added in. Because that would be obscene. Just like an early, hey, you did this type thing, as opposed to, hey, you don't need to get anyone else type thing.
Not that that's going to stop you from pulling for her. And keep
Yeah,
in mind, this is
he's
based
not
off
wrong.
Beta 2, and things could change from now to
Inferno
launch, but just
Rider?
knowing Kuro, I don't really think they would do that. If you do invest in strong characters and build them up, it'll definitely make the game easier though. To be honest, I'd be more worried if that wasn't really the case, but I don't think you have much to worry about. Because the game is skill-based, you don't have to be too reliant on RNG gearing systems to make it through most.
And that's one of the reasons I'm thinking this game might, oddly enough, be easier for me. I've had so much flat defense on so many characters in every game. It's not even just Genshin, it's Honkai, it's every single one. Oh my god, every time. I think if I log back into Destiny, I'd somehow roll defense on those characters. I don't even think that's something you can do in weapons, because I don't think they do that. I haven't played Destiny in a long time, and I don't know if that's accurate. I don't really want to change that opinion.
Most of the game, but that won't stop you from doing it anyways. The ecosystem,
Yeah.
in my opinion, is one of the coolest systems in any gacha game, combining the idea of creature collectors with a post-apocalyptic setting to make the ultimate mix of fast-paced combat.
I'm wondering
and
about the
down
story, but I've
horrendous
tried to
R34.
avoid.
When you defeat an
Wait, with the what?
setting to make the ultimate mix of fast-paced combat and down horrendous R34. When
It's already happened. Seriously? You know what? Never mind. It's the internet, and people are aware of the character designs, which, yeah, I'm not surprised in the slightest. Really not. Also, about that post-apocalyptic thing, I think I've heard about that because I've seen a few pictures of the trailers, but I made a point to avoid all of that. I've looked at very little coverage. Hell, this right here is the majority of the video coverage I've watched. I've seen people talk about it in other videos, but then every time they brought up the story, I got off, so I've never actually seen the complete coverage. I don't really know what's going on, and I'm not going to change that until tomorrow. So let's find out what happens.
you defeat an enemy in the overworld, they can drop echoes. And these echoes have two main stats and a rarity that depicts how well the stat actually scales.
Oh?
Your purple tier echoes are going to have higher stats and level caps than your green tier echoes. Now, aside from your
How
drive
does that
to
work
complete
out?
the national Pokédex,
Wait. So there's two main ones? Do you get to choose them and highlight them, or are they just going to do that regardless?
there's a good reason to collect them all. Some are locked to specific main stats, but the main reason to go for them is to enhance your druidic abilities. You can select
What?
one main echo per
turning into
character,
things.
and that lets you use its specific ability on command, allowing you to make your character builds more unique. And you can do
Ooh.
this due to how swapping in this
I'm not saying that's stupid, but let's be honest, this is incredibly stupid. The dancing bear. Sorry, not bear. It's a turtle? I think it's a turtle. Yeah, the dancing turtle. It's incredibly stupid. I'm definitely going to do this. I'm going to spend way more time making random monsters dance. It's not a good reason, but I know my sense of humor. It's stupid enough. I'm going to do it constantly.
Due to how swapping in this game works, with a lot of echoes, you can still
Bear?
get their effects or damage whenever you swap off. It's like
Oh.
adding 3 more teammates to your team. For example, I
Oh, they
can
each have one.
that I nicknamed her.
Oh. See, I was under the impression that it'd be like, okay, and you get one choice, but apparently if every character has one. Yeah, the Pokemon aspect is strong in this one because they're only going to add more enemies over time, and this gives a lot more reason to make the enemies more than just reskins. Dude.
Harambe. And when I swap mid-fight, he
named
continues
Harambe,
to
of
smack
course he
the
did.
shit out of the boss. The way equipment works in this game is that you have 12 points to spend on echoes, and early on in the game you'll only have 10. And each echo costs a certain amount of points to equip. The cost to equip usually depends on the stats, and certain stats cost more than others. That said, the better stats are usually tied to bosses, so in a way, it gives you
So,
a little
bosses.
bit of modularity, but can also make building characters, more confusing. There's two
And I'm going with the colors, either how much they're upgraded or do they have different drop rarities of the same type? I don't know. Oh, hell, even if these are just somewhat randomized. He's probably shown it, I just missed it, though. It would be kind of cool, though, if you could just easily farm out the lower level ones to build into the bigger one, but I'm not sure how that
2-piece
leveling
and
guide even
5-piece
works.
sets, and I really wish they were just 2 and 4, personally.
5-piece?
Having an
Okay, so it
off-piece
is refinements,
important.
essentially.
The set effects are fixed to some echoes, and while I don't know all the ins
Oh?
and outs of all the sets and stats of echoes, I do know that echoes are infinitely farmable. So if you're looking for a
What?
specific echo
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
that's the
right
part.
set or main stat, you can run around your world, defeat all of the monsters, and then hop
Was
and
that a
co-op and
freaking... I'm sorry, what the hell? Was that a car with legs? That is a car with legs growing out of its underside. We're literally Carapace Engine Zero. It's a bug using an old car. You can even see the... I want to just take a second on the detail here. You see the airbag that exploded and it popped around the edge of the window. It's grown through it. We're literally fighting the Honda Civic of bosses. Oh my god. I've heard of a car crash, but this is the first time I tried to crash the car.
monsters, and then hop into co-op and defeat all of those too. It's only once you have the right main stat that you fall into the deepest depths of despair.
What?
Like in some other Gacha games, your
So the infinite farming is for these guys, and then everything else. What other things do you level up, though?
echoes
Probably
have
everything.
substats that can affect how powerful the echo actually is.
Oh.
Unfortunately, the substats are random, and there are more substat possibilities in this game than there are GN Simps on Twitter. And you have to invest a bunch of
I don't know who. Oh, I'm assuming the guy they just showed a picture of is the one he referred to. Does he have a lot of simps? I mean, the character coming after him, yeah, but I guess there's Finjoshi bit anywhere, so why not?
resources into an echo before you can find out how
Did you throw a
strong
bomb?
that echo actually is. Now, on the bright side of that, you
Oh.
can pull out of an echo before
Wait, what? Why did I word it like? Oh, because he said he could pull out of. I'm going to give him a pass here because I have never said anything like that, so I assume it's just something everyone says, and I'm not covering up anything that no one should ever find out, or other things I've said that are incriminating on live streams. I have no idea what I would. Moving on.
before investing too many resources. Since if you don't hit the stat that you want in the first two rolls, you can just move to the next one. I
Oh, it's
think
only the first two
ecosystem
rolls
is
that give it.
incredibly unique
Okay.
and an amazing spin on creating new
Heavy attack damage bonus. Oh! So if there's a heavy attack, not only is there attack, crit rate, and probably crit damage, the generic ones for every fantasy-inspired or adjacent game ever, and a bunch that aren't, but specific types of damage are buffed there, so they're incredibly specific. For example, you have a character who does a lot of one type of damage, but not a lot of damage across the board. It's highly specific. You might actually want to save that. Oh. And then there's probably infinite builds where characters are more generalized what you can do if you have certain supports. There's actually a lot of interesting usage of this. A lot of the times when I see builds with random stats, it's not so much, hey, here's some builds. It's more, hey, there's 2 things you could get on these random rolls that are good. The rest suck and you should never use them. Except for very niche cases that you will never have, because whenever you need them, they won't be on this specific set. But if that's not the case here, and I know they have buffers and supports that are explicitly good at some types of, well, helping with damage types, it might be really useful to see just what you can do here. It'd be really neat if it turns out every set is useful in some situation, but I really doubt it'll come up to that. Maybe if the game is like 5 years more developed and you have plenty of options, but we're not there yet. It's not
with
worth thinking
flexible
about.
combat abilities. But I do hope that if we can infinitely farm echoes,
Basic
the team
attack
will
and
add some
heavy.
new ways to roll substats that are less resource intensive. Right now,
Hmm.
players who pay will have more opportunities to roll substats based on how much they're willing to refill their daily stamina, which at this
Yeah.
point is also a staple of gacha games.
So the daily stamina is based more on just getting to upgrade them, not so much getting them. Okay. That's
also,
the
please spawn more
checkpoint.
things in the overworld. The in-game Echo Gacha
Wait,
is hit
oh,
or
because
miss
it's a very
based
empty
off
game
of your
still.
luck.
That's
But what about the
CBT1 though.
in-game
Might change
gacha
in
gacha?
pre-release.
One of the best things about free-to-play games is that you don't have to pay as long as you're in it for the long haul. I already spoke
Yeah.
about how strong the free-to-play characters are on this game, but obviously since this is a gacha game, some of the coolest, hottest, most badass, hottest, strongest, hottest designs are going to be 5
You don't need to sell it to me, Brax. I'm already well aware and hoping my wife doesn't see this video. Yeah.
star characters. Are
I'm
they
not in
achievable
danger.
for free-to-play players? Well, I can't really promise how many pulls you'll get, but I can tell you about the Gacha pity system. There are
Oh?
4 banners
Oh,
in
there's
this
a
game
pity, good.
as of CBT2. Well, technically 5 if you count the beginner banner. The beginner banner is for new accounts, and it guarantees you get a standard 5-star character within 50 pulls. Pretty standard stuff, but it's worth knowing that this girl, right here, achieved
Why is her chest got a scar that's moving on it? I thought it was just a scar, but it was moving. What the hell? It's probably something you get in lore. Also, I've heard about this girl. She seems like someone who is going to be amazing until anyone else comes out.
She's kind of busted, and if they don't dial her back for release, she's probably going to be your reroll target. You also have the standard banner, which has its own pull currency separately from
Oh, so there's a standard banner and there's a separate standard banner, which is 20% off. Okay. I thought there was a different art, but no, it's different. They're just in slightly different poses.
the limited and weapon banners. You also have a limited character banner with a pity of 80, but a 50-50 chance of getting the character you're pulling for. Now this is pretty standard nowadays, and while I don't
On the one hand, 50-50, not bad. On the other hand, do they have a system where you lose the 50-50, you get it the second time? Because that is a very big problem otherwise. Because I can see a lot of people pulling a staff of Homa. And if I need to explain that, assume it's a couple thousand, like what was it, $32,000 by the end of it? I could be mistaken. I'm not for sure how many zeros are on there. I want to say it's $3,000, but I'm also worried it might be 32.
Don't particularly like the 50-50 portion. It's definitely not as bad as it could be. I hope they do away.
I mean, I played Fate Grand Order. I saw the rates on that thing, man. Everything is better by comparison. But that's not a bar you should aim for.
With that for release, but right now that's
Hero
what
seems
it is.
pretty up on
What
the bar,
I'm really
though, so I don't
focused
think it
on,
would
though,
be.
are the two other banners, the standard
comes off
weapon
it.
banner and the limited weapon banner. The standard weapon banner has a hard pity of 80 and lets you choose a target to roll for, and that target is guaranteed when you roll a 5-star.
Oh. So basically, whatever 5-star you're guaranteed to get, you choose the weapon that's going to be really good for them. It's still a lot of work to build into it, and it'd take forever to do it, but guaranteeing a weapon, they're probably going to be good just because big weapon have big number. And it seems like a lot of the randomness isn't so much the items themselves or the weapons. Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was guaranteed to choose.
Meaning that you can choose which weapon you actually get from the standard banner.
Is
But
that
to be
every time,
honest,
or?
Knowing Kuro Game, I wouldn't be surprised if they just straight up gave us a 5-star weapon.
I'm pretty sure that was actually announced as well.
Oh wait, I didn't mention that part, did I? When you hit rank 45, you get a free 5-star weapon in the beta, and I don't really see a...
No, actually, I think the one I heard about was different. I heard about the rank up, but I thought they also had like a sign-up goal that reached that. Or was that a 5-star character sign-up goal that reached it? I could be mistaken on that one. Honestly, if it's both, I'd be really happy, but that's insane.
reason for them to remove that from the live game. Because if you think about it, during a beta, you can either give players the raw game experience or give them all the tools to experience the game, such as all...
And admittedly, the raw game experience is probably better because if you give all the tools, which I think some places do, and maybe they have different servers for both, you get a very hyped idea of what it's going to be like at the high end, and then the high end changes, so it's a very wrong impression.
all the characters and high-level stuff. Since they're giving us the raw game experience in CBT2, it would be really strange of them to throw a free 5-star weapon at us at a high level if they weren't going to give us more things to test in the first place. So I'm a firm believer that the selector is staying in the game and that we'll get to choose a free 5-star weapon. The limited weapon banner is also insane.
I just want to point out, this is one of the most disturbing weapon designs I've ever seen. It's just the hand coming out of floaty sci-fi magic tech. There's just something about the doll hand that makes it creepier.
Extremely good value in my opinion, since it has the same pity as the standard weapon banner. But unlike the limited character banner, it has a guarantee to give you the weapon you're rolling for.
So the weapon banners in this game are high, and it really depends on how much money it costs to get 80 if you decide to buy it, or how much they give you in-game for free. But just a guarantee. That, I mean, on the one hand, if there's not an internal pity system to make sure that the 50-50 doesn't go infinitely, on characters, that's more important. But that is really nice when you can actually say, this is exactly how much absolute worst luck will cost to max out a weapon. It's still too much money, but you know exactly how much you would pay for it. And then you just might spend less. That's actually kind of groundbreaking. Not because other games haven't done it, but games of this level of quality, which are usually multi-million company investments. I mean, dollars in companies, it might actually be millions of companies involved just on everyone who gets secondary income from it. But that is actually surprising.
And I will be pulling on it for Mother. Oh, it is so tough being F2P. If you're like me, you probably...
Yes, I have never been in this situation. Or anyone who has a black and white color scheme and a scythe. I have never done that. Yep. I have a type, and certain games have found it.
If you're like me, you've probably spent all of your college loans on 7 copies of Yinli.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't do that. Also, with the college loans I got, they went right to the school because they did not trust me. They were right. They were right.
Probably have a lot of the premium shop currency after you've done that too. And why would you keep it when you could use it to buy 2 more copies of Yinli? You can buy...
Wait, what? So additional copies you could just purchase flat out. As long as the 50-50 goes in your favor, eventually you could just have all the copies you want. Which also implies that as long as you get it the first time, extra pulls don't actually hurt as bad. Still probably cheaper not to do it through the shop, but...
wave bands for characters in the premium currency shop. So saving for your favorite characters' copies isn't actually that egregious and saves you a ton of premium currency.
Okay, yeah, but that's $360 for the equivalent of a 5-star, $270 for the 5-star and the regular banner. So this difference between limited and standard banner is pretty huge, about 90 different. But how much do you get from, say, going to pity on 80? If it's 1-to-1, that's, I mean, it's still a lot. And by the time you get it up, it would be a while. But if you save up for it or a while, you know, characters coming up. For her, I think it's the biggest bait because you'd have to wail to get enough to use it. So it's probably useless. But I can see this later in the game when there's a character you know you want to advance and you've been playing for months and you have a lot of it saved up. At that point, it might be worthwhile to say, and I'm blowing my load and getting all that stuff right into the character, shoving it. The refinements in, why did I say it that way? I blame Braxophone.
The fact that you can buy character copies in the shop is absolutely huge because any player, including free-to-play players, will eventually get to the point where they'll be able to grab a copy of their favorite character. To my knowledge, this only works after you have the first copy of the character, so you still will have to pull them, but the fact that you can get access to their higher level abilities as a result of getting extra copies of them is pretty cool. Now, at the end of the day, this game is a gacha game, and it's predatory in the same way that every other gacha game is. But at least compared to other gacha games and other gacha game companies, Kuro Game does have a very nice grasp on creating a free-to-play friendly environment that rewards players' time and effort. The ecosystem could be improved on to make it cost less resources to roll for substats, or make those resources more plentiful in the first place.
And for all we know, they might have changed that in the official release, because they've already made changes to make it so you don't have to farm nearly as hard, or more specifically, as hard with the pay resources to enable even farming in the first place. Upgrading them seems like it's where they're still holding the torch on, now pay us. But that never is really where the gacha system makes all its money, so I don't really see if there's a downside to them loosening it, because that's more time gating it so people can't blow through it all the way, but it's going to happen regardless for the high-end creators. From the low end, it's just a huge hurdle. Most of the money is in the banner, and considering Yinlin's character design, yeah, they're going to make a lot of money.
In the classic Kuro Game fashion, people have been clearing insanely hard bosses on the second closed beta with the equivalent of a wet napkin. Combine that with a strong free-to-play cast, a skill-based game, and generous rewards, and things are looking pretty good for Wuthering Waves. So it's safe to say that Wuthering Waves is going to be pretty free-to-play friendly, unless you have skill issue.
Yeah. Okay, I'm actually really excited, but I was already excited beforehand because it's a new gacha game with a lot of new characters, new areas to explore, possible puzzles to figure out, combat system that's completely different from most of the standard ones, and closer to Elden Ring from what I've seen. Although I don't know exactly because, again, I didn't play the beta because I wanted to avoid spoilers, but then I'm deciding, you know what, fuck it, it's coming out tomorrow. I'm going full spoiler, man. And everything he says I probably should still take with a grain of salt because it might still change. And it just wasn't leaked in that as far as I know. Granted, I'm also not looking for leaks, so that would make it harder for me to find out about them. Curse you, tautology, for saying if something's not true because I don't know it, it doesn't mean anything because I don't know it. Logic. More importantly, though, I'm really excited. I'm going to stream this tomorrow as soon as I can, so maybe around 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern time. And then I'm just probably going to no-life this and piss off my wife by being up way too late. And also turning my office into a sauna because this game looks like it might be intensive, and I can't wait to see just what they can crank it up to. Everything I said is not entirely indicative of my room being a sauna or not. It just does that because I have to close all the doors in it and soundproof it because the cats decide that if they hear me playing or feel how warm it gets, that they want to get in here and will try and claw through the door. I have scratch marks out there. They are insane. I do not know how they managed to do that. Their claws were cut, and they're still going through it, man. One of these days, I'm just going to be randomly talking, and it'll be just cat right on my face. Admittedly, it'll be adorable because they're very cute, and they pull their nails back when they do that. But it'll still happen. I'll still scream like a little girl. Yeah. I'm easily scared, so there's really not much of a bar there. more importantly, go, if you haven't already, there's a link below to the original video. Brax did a really fun job, and I can't wait to see what other kind of content he makes about this. Unless he's one of the people who did a Hoyoverse contract that said they couldn't, but I'm assuming he's not in that category. That would suck, because a lot of other people were released, it seems. Either way, you guys know the deal. Link, hit it up. I'll see you in the next one. Adios. Or more likely tomorrow.